Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Phil Sanchez. In 2 days, voters across Indiana will decide who will run their cities for the next 4 years. It's the first election for Indiana's new chief election officer, Secretary of State Diego Morales. He sat down with our government reporter, Garrett Berquist, to talk about a new tool he says will help voters on Election Day.
Joining us now is Secretary of State Diego Morales. Mr. Secretary, welcome back to the program.
Well, good morning, Garrett. It's good to be with you.
So this is going to be your first major election since you took office. How are you feeling going into this?
You know, first of all, I'm honored to be the Indiana Secretary of State as the first immigrant Secretary of State in the history of Indiana, and I believe currently the only immigrant Secretary of State in the nation. It's an honor for me. To me, it's the American dream, and we've been getting ready for November 7th election.
So you've got a new voter information initiative going on. Tell me about that.
We rolled out last week our newest initiative, which is a text, and I'm happy to show it to you right now. Got info, need info, we got you. Text IN to the number 45995. This newest initiative, it will help all Hoosiers in Indiana to make their life much easier. Here is how. So for example, if you see something at the poll, something suspicious at the polling location on Election Day, you can just text us. If you're trying to find out, hey, where is my polling location? You just text and we will help you. If you are looking to figure out who are your elected officials, you text as well, you will get information. Or if you are concerned about our elections, the secureness of our elections, you can text, and this will come directly into the Secretary of State's office. We will review your question, and then we will get back to you.
There's been a lot of rhetoric surrounding the security of our elections. How secure are our ballots?
Obviously, with the ID, it increases the confidence of our elections. But also, we have a robust cybersecurity plan in place. You know, for the first time when I arrived into the Secretary of State's office, I hired a new the very first Chief Information Officer for the Secretary of State's office to help us focus on our cybersecurity and IT initiatives to continue to secure our elections. Well, in addition to that, I've been visiting with county clerks, visiting with county prosecutors, county sheriffs. This is a team effort. You know, when it comes to our elections, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It affects all of us, and we all need to be involved.
Where are we on the implementation of voter-verified paper audit trails?
We are on schedule. Let me give you the date, July 1st of next year, to have all these BB pads attached to some of the equipments. When we attach these BB pads to these equipments, it will provide that paper trail. So when you go to the polls, you will be able to see that paper trail. Why is this so important, Garrett? Because let's say there is a close race, and either party will say, well, we're gonna file a recount because we want to see. So with the paper trail that we will have, it will be easy to compare and to do the recount. So we can actually see, again, I'm utilizing the paper trail because it's important to see when people voted for whoever they voted for. And that will be a way for us to compare and have that recount easy and smooth as possible. So we are on schedule which is July 1st of next year, to have all these BB pads ready, tested and ready for the 2024 presidential election.
Why is it important specifically to vote in municipal elections?
It is important, you know, if you want to see, you know, good streets, if you want to have your garbage picked up, you know, on time, if you want to reduce violence. So it is important who is in leadership. But again, my job as the Chief Election Officer is to encourage our fellow Hoosiers to go to the polls. I would recommend do your own research, to every fellow Hoosiers, do your own research, because it's important for them to research the leadership and, of course, where each candidate stands on.
Before we go, I do want to ask you about some reports that came out about the spot bonuses that you gave out to your staff. There were more from your office than all other statewide elected offices put together. Why did you do that?
One of the things that I did when I came into the Secretary of State's office on day one, when I came into the State House, I walked to all of our divisions, our Business Services Division, Auto Dealer Services Division, Securities Division, and I said, I'm the new member of the team. You all been here for many years. I want to listen to you. And the first thing that most of my team members said, they said, Secretary Morales, we were promised some bonuses and some raises. They have that expectation. What are you going to do about it? And I said, well, let me do my due diligence. I said, I'm going to vouch for you before the General Assembly. And that's what I did. On record, I went before the Ways and Means Committee, the Senate Appropriations, asking for those raises. In fact, I asked for 12.5%. My office, we run everything transparently. The records are there. And I'm happy to tell you that the General Assembly approved it. So our fiscal year starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So on June 30th, we gave those bonuses in order to retain good employees. I'm an MBA guy. I come from the private sector in my military sector. I've been outspoken about that I believe on compensation reward. If you're a hard worker, if you work hard, you deserve to be compensated. In state government, we need to retain those good employees. I can tell you here, Garrett, I'm proud and happy to stand with our employees. We deliver to them. We honor what they were promised, and I'm gonna continue to take care of them because I have a great team around me, and they're doing such a wonderful job.
All right, coming up, former Purdue University president and Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels joins us with his new book. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics. Former Governor Mitch Daniels says many of the universities that face backlash over their handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict laid the groundwork for that over the years. Those comments came during a conversation about his new book, Boiler Up. It's a collection of speeches and op-eds from his time as president of Purdue University. He talked to our Garrett Berquist.
Let's bring in former Indiana governor and former Purdue University president Mitch Daniels. Governor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So this book is a compilation of the speeches and op-eds from your time as Purdue University president. What led you to publish this book?
I was encouraged to do it by people who thought that we'd had a few interesting things to say over that course of time. And I thought maybe I could make the point that in any job one takes, you ought to ask yourself, where can you add value? What can you do that might be useful to the business or the enterprise? In my case, one of the answers was to take advantage of certain head starts I had from other lives I'd led and bring more attention to Purdue, which I thought it already deserved. And over the course of time, I think we earned a lot more national attention for things the people of the university did.
And one section of your book deals specifically with keeping our democracy. You wrote of the issue of sincerity versus seriousness. As the 2024 election takes shape, how worried are you that this is coming into play?
There's a lot to worry about, honestly. I'm an optimist about this country, and this country has confounded its skeptics before, but you have to recognize the reality that's in front of you. So yes, I'm concerned, first of all, that neither of our parties is dealing with effectively with the issues that face us principally, or at least I'll say first, the unconscionable, unpayable debts that we've run up. Both parties have now contributed to this. I think that our inability to come to terms with that is going to be something history judges very harshly. We have international threats that we need to come together to agree to confront. And then it's not just the substance, but of course, I'm hardly alone in being very troubled about the tenor of our public discourse, the way in which people have come to go beyond disagreement into personal vilification and so forth. That's not, neither of those phenomena is promising for a country that wants to demonstrate that it can remain governed of and by the people.
Your 2018 commencement speech focused on the issue of tribalism. That speech is in this book. And in it, you noted the benefits of being exposed to viewpoints different from your own, such as on college campuses. Building off of that, how do you view the recent uproar over how colleges and universities have responded to protests over Israel's war with Hamas?
I think some of them have disgraced themselves, and not for the first time. To some extent, some of the schools that are now catching the most flack have laid the groundwork for that by their activities in the past. Many of them have at least acquiesced, if not actively participated in squelching, canceling, otherwise suppressing views that didn't coincide with their own. And that, I think, made it especially difficult for them to be neutral brokers in the situation that just arose. And of course, those who were unable even to say something suitably negative about atrocities of the kind we saw will have had an answer for that, and rightly so.
Before I let you go, I want to ask about your cross-state rival. We lost legendary IU basketball coach Bob Knight on November 1st. Are there any personal memories of him you would like to share? What do you think should be his legacy?
I was such and always was a fan of Coach Knight. You know, I was a passionate, still am, fan of every Indiana school in all my life. And I still root for IU, except for 3 times a year, I'll say, or when they're playing you know who. But Coach Knight, I'll miss. When he was done coaching, I missed the standards he upheld, even more than all the wins and banners that he brought to IU. He was even at the time that he left IU. He was, I thought, such a model. The young men playing for him were good citizens. They were students. They graduated, and I knew, as now is coming out more, that there was a side of him that was enormously caring and helpful to people in need. He stood by his friends and his former players always. And I wish he'd gotten more attention for that, or allowed more people to see that while he was with us.
Coming up, Indiana's best political team gives us their predictions for Tuesday's municipal elections. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics, as we bring in 2 members of Indiana's best political team, Democrat Dana Black and Republican Allie Bartlett. Cities and towns all over Indiana will choose their next mayors on Tuesday. Let's begin with Indianapolis. Allie, Jefferson Shreve, as you know, focused on animal shelter issues and leaf removal in the closing weeks. Was this a smart strategy, or did maybe he, deviate too far from his core message?
No, I think what he's been trying to do is to make sure that he's covering the full gambit of the issues that he would be addressing as the mayor of Indianapolis. I mean, obviously there are some issues that steal the spotlight over others, but there's more to the job than just those spotlight catching issues. So I think what he's trying to do is take the politics out of it in some ways and focus.
Okay, so Allie froze there for a moment, Dana, so we'll go to you. Shreve's ads have targeted centrist voters ever since the primary, as you know. How worried should Hogsett be about voters responding to those efforts, especially on public safety?
Not at all. I don't think he should. I think Joe Hawk said Mayor Joe should continue to focus in on what he's been doing, like cutting ribbons. While Jefferson's raking leaves, Mayor Hawk says cutting ribbons on more housing all over the city. He knows how to speak to the people of Indianapolis. He's not afraid to speak to the people of Indianapolis. He doesn't have to reach for gimmicks or, like the tax thing, just at last minute. Oh, let me throw something out there. Honestly, when you self-fund your entire campaign or the vast majority of your campaign, it's very telling because it means you don't have that many supporters. If you had enough supporters, then you could raise enough money that you wouldn't have to self-fund your campaign. Mayor Joe speaks to the people of Indianapolis. Mayor Joe speaks for the people of Indianapolis. He understands us. He has nothing to worry about, I don't think.
Allie's back with us now, so I'll let you finish your thoughts before Allie. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. What I was saying before is that I think what Jefferson Shreve has been doing is that he's focusing on the entire gambit of the issues that you take on as mayor. He's trying to take the politics out of it and just focus on what the job really is. He realizes that there's more to the job than just those hot button issues. So that's why he's talking about more than one thing.
Okay, let's head up north, okay? Carmel voters will decide who will succeed longtime Mayor Jim Brainerd. That race features Republican Sue Finkam and Democrat Miles Nelson. Dana, how important is it to Democrats to flip this seat, and how would you rate his chances?
I rate his chances very high. One, for a Democrat, I find interesting that he is aligned more with Mayor Brainerd than the Republican has, and talked about continuing the good work that the current mayor has done. The more people move into Carmel, Indiana, the more purple it gets, the bluer it gets. The population continues to increase up there. That means the voter diversity pool is much bigger. I think he has as good a chance as any Democrat has ever had at flipping that seat up in Carmel.
To Dana's point, Allie, Carmel is turning into one of those swing suburbs. Finkam has the endorsement of Brainerd and Governor Eric Holcomb. So what will need to happen for her to keep that seat in the GOP column?
I think there's no contest here. I do agree with Dana on one thing, and that's that Miles Nelson has been trying to ride the coattails of what Brainerd has done. But the funny thing is that Sue Finkam has been elected in Carmel since 2012. So everything that Jim Brainerd has done, Sue Finkam has been a part of. The one other thing I really admire about the race that she's run is that she is leaving politics off the table. And that's why this seat is not going to flip. She's talked about economic development, businesses, keeping Carmel a thriving community. That's what she's been focused on while Miles Nelson has been playing politics, and I think people see right through that.
Okay, we'll see what happens on that one. Let's turn to another race in the shadow of Indianapolis, the race for the mayor of Lawrence. Allie, how worried should Republicans be about losing this one? The city council in Lawrence, as you know, overwhelmingly Democratic now.
Yeah, I don't see much concern about a potential loss there just because of the outstanding record of Mayor Steve Collier. We've seen record growth under his leadership in partnership with Dave Hoffman. And obviously, Dave Hoffman, the former chief of police, he's going to continue that good work and also just have this renewed focus on public safety, which for Indianapolis and its surrounding cities and areas is just top priority.
Dana, do you foresee this Lawrence race going in the way that the Indianapolis race will go?
I do. I believe Deb Whitfield is going to flip this seat. I don't even think it's going to be close. And let me tell you why. I went to the debate between the two candidates, and I'm sorry, the Republican candidate, all he said, he was police and law enforcement. If you're talking to brown and black people, you better come with more than just, I'm going to bring more police, because our relationship with law enforcement ain't the same. And Lawrence has a high minority population, and I believe that folks are going to turn out because we recognize that just talking about having people, we invite you to our picnic does not mean that you are being inclusive. And Deb Whitfield understands how to be inclusive, what it means to have every voice at the table. We saw last year how the council had to fight to just get a clear understanding of what the budget was, right? Nobody wanted to give information about the budget.
Well, we will leave it there. We will leave it there. We'll be very busy on Tuesday. We look forward to talking with you next time. Thank you so much. We will be right back. And thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics this week. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. Please make sure to vote on Tuesday if you haven't already, and tune in for our complete election night coverage Tuesday night. Have a great rest of your weekend.